Hi guys, Scott Woodward with you, and let's have a chat about the big grand final on Sunday between the Roosters and Manly. And clearly the best pointer is when these two teams met in week one of the finals. And look, the scoreboard says that the Roosters defeated Manly 4-0, but if you didn't know the score and you just purely looked at the stats, you'd swear blind that Manly won this game, and not only won the game, but won it quite convincingly. And let me tell you why I say that. I've watched the game several times on video. I was there live, and I studied the analytics that come out of the game. And it's amazing to me that Manly didn't win the game. But what's even more amazing is that they didn't even score a single point in the entire game. It just shouldn't happen. I've never seen a score mirror statistics like this in all the many years that I've been studying statistics on rugby league. Just a couple of quick pointers, and I'll highlight some areas so you can understand where I'm coming from. And I'm not suggesting that Manly should have won or been unlucky. It was an incredible win by the Roosters. But some of the key things that I look at in the game were just amazing. We said the score was 4-0. Manly won 4-0. The offloads, the Roosters 5, Manly 11, just basically doubled the Roosters in the offload capacity there. Line breaks, which is a key pointer. Manly made 4 line breaks in this game. The Roosters never made one single line break. The amount of times that the players received the ball, Manly 531 compared to 384 by the Roosters. That's 147 more receives, yet they couldn't score a point. Quite amazing. The tackles made, which is a significant factor in terms of work rate for each one of the teams, the Roosters made 358, which is a significant amount and way up on the average tackles made by a normal team in a game, compared to 332 by Manly. Manly made 26 less tackles. Missed tackles, which is a biggie for me. The Roosters missed 35 tackles in this game compared to 29 for Manly. They missed 35 tackles, but they never conceded a point in the game. Tackle breaks. This is a fantastic one for Manly. Manly made 35 tackle breaks. The Roosters only made 29, and yet Manly couldn't go in for a point. Total runs, and this talks a lot about the forwards here. The total runs, the Roosters only made 1,145 metres in this game, which is way down on average metres for forwards, not only just in finals games, but in a normal club game. And Manly made an amazing 759, nearly 1,800 metres, outstanding performance from 207 runs compared to only 160 by the Roosters. Total runs in the game, Manly 95, and the Roosters only made 50. So the Manly have almost double the Roosters in runs. Run metres 713 compared to 368 by the Roosters. You can see where I'm coming here. Manly completely dominated the Roosters in the key stats in this game. First receiver runs. This is important because this is generally the halfback. Daly Cherry Evans, 15 runs at 121 metres compared to the Roosters 6, which was Mitchell Pearce, only 32 metres. That's 32 metres versus 121 metres. Kick return runs, this is generally the fullbacks. Manly 17 made 238 metres compared to Mini 8 runs 41 metres, and the Manly fullback, bear in mind, was young Peta Hiku, and he's not playing in the grand final. He made 238 metres in this game. Total runs in general play, Manly made 186 total runs in general play for 465 metres, and the Roosters only made 149 for just over 1,000 metres. Quite amazing. Now, the reason why Manly lost this game, you look at that, you think Manly's won this game easy. The reason why they lost this game, because of dumb errors, led by guys like Anthony Watmough, etc. They made 16 errors in a game. I think a team that makes more than 10 errors is going to struggle to win a game. One of the reasons why the Melbourne Storm have been so dominant in the last 5 or 6 years is because they average under 10 errors a game. Now, Manly made 16 errors in this game, and I have to say The Roosters made 12 errors, which was also a lot, but the Manly errors were significant, and they were made at very bad times when they were starting to build up momentum and starting to put pressure on, and then they'd make an error, and they just let the Roosters off the hook, and the Roosters were able to rally and defend their line again. So they played really dumb, Manly, and there's a lot of, if you like, I call them dumb players in that side, and yet they've got some very intelligent players in that side as well. It's a funny side, but had they played smarter in this game, they would have won beyond any doubt. The other thing is that that kept the game close was that the penalties conceded. The Roosters conceded 12 penalties in this game, and Manly only conceded 5. So, you know, once again, one of the reasons why the Roosters only scored 4 points is because they kept scoring dumb penalties, and a lot of those penalties were to give their defensive line a bit of a break, and it might have only been 20 seconds or so, but while they blow the penalty, they can get back and set their line again. And yes, they've got to defend another set, but at least they get set in the right places. The interesting thing about this wonderful Roosters side is, and I'm going to go through the individual plays now, and it'll underline a little bit on what I'm saying. If I look at the first 5 plays in their backline, Minicello, Tupou, Jennings, Kenny Dowell, Taufua, Sheck, James Maloney. James Maloney has missed more tackles than any other player in the NRL this year. Those 6 players that I've just mentioned, all of them individually are not noted defenders. As a matter of fact, some of them are very poor defenders. But the key stat is that they don't let many tries in. And the reason why that is because they have all bought into the Roosters' defensive pattern and the system that they've implemented, where the lock forward and the back row on that side has a role to play, and they work as a team and they hunt as a pack, and the defence is very rarely left to one individual, and quite often they get a lot of help. And guys like Jennings and Kenny Dowell, who have been exposed in recent years, all of a sudden they're looking very rock solid in defence. But if they were one out, a good attacking player would have no trouble going through them, and Manly certainly had that problem in week 1 of the finals. They had no trouble busting the line, but they couldn't go on with it and get the ball over the line because the Roosters just rallied so well. So look, so how's it going to be any different in the grand final? Well, obviously the big difference is that Manly get their best attacking player back into the side, Brett Stewart. He wasn't there when they played in the finals in round 1, and I can't emphasise the importance of this guy. He talks to the back line, he tells them where to go and what not to do, but he chimes in, and he's brilliant individually, but he's also very good at deception, and he chimes in particularly well on that right hand side. And with him, with Lyon and his brother, not to mention Daly Cherry Evans, it's an unbelievable combination. And had he been playing there a couple of weeks ago in week 1 of the finals, and you saw the line breaks and you saw the offloads, where Manly had clear superiority in that area. Had they had Brett Stewart on board, you'd have to think that they definitely would have won the game. And they get him back on board for the grand final. Now, there's no question that the Roosters should be fitter. They should have less injuries. But I made the mistake of thinking that the Seagulls were an absolute crock and broken down last week. And I'm not going to do that again. I've been a Manly Seagulls fan for most of the second half of the season, and our members are already on them at the good odds of $7 into the grand final. And ideally, I would have liked it backed up last week, but we have to bleed our eyes. And when we see players go down like Jamie Lyon and Steve Matai and Anthony Watmough, and we have to go, wow, they can't keep doing this. But not only did they do it, they put 30 unanswered points on a brilliant South Sydney team last week, and I couldn't believe my eyes. It was a completely dominant performance against a very, very good rugby league side, and there's not a lot between South Sydney and the Roosters. And if Manly did that last week, you have to think that they've got a very good chance of doing it this week. But this Roosters side, they just keep coming on and defending when you think they're gone, and they just keep coming up with the goods. It's an incredible side, molded by an incredible coach who was just being crowned this week Coach of the Year, and deservedly so. He's going to be around for many, many years, and I've already gone to print and said that he is the next Craig Bellamy, and I know it's his first year. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't back it up next year and the year after that. So how are Manly going to turn the tables apart from Brett Stewart? Let me say, I think there's probably three guys in the Roosters side that I wouldn't have in my first grade side, but it's such a well-coached and such a well-drilled side. Not only are they in the side, but they actually contribute, and it's just amazing how they do it. And look, one of the great personalities of rugby league is Dan Mortimer. Everyone tells me he's a wonderful kid and fantastic to have around. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think he's a Fettingham first grade player. I think he's a speed hump. He's only a little guy, and he just, because of that, he just struggles to tackle. But the incredible thing is, he's only missed one tackle in the final series, and he's played Manly 3 times this year, and he's only missed 2 tackles in 3 games. So why is that? It's because of his brilliant coach, and they've been able to hide him when he comes on, and he's not exposed. And it's quite brilliant. But when there's a break, Dan is able to use his brilliant speed and get up and be the guy in the gap there to take the ball, and he's very valuable the way he comes in and gives his hooker a breather. So he has a role to play in the team, and he plays it very well. But the important thing is that he hasn't been exposed in defence, and no team has been good enough to run over the top of him and score a try. And yet he's a very, very ordinary defender, arguably the worst defender in the NRL. But he's missed 2 tackles in 3 games against Manly, 1 tackle in the final series. So there's an opportunity for Manly to find out where Mortimer is when he comes on and just run at him, and run at him and run at him. He'll be on for about 20 minutes, so there's an opportunity. The other opportunity is Dan Tupou. Despite he looks fantastic on TV, and the Channel 9 commentators keep raving about him, in my opinion, he's not a genuine first-grade player. He's wonderful in the air, and it was great to see him catch a bomb last week. His big strength, he's jumping up in the air and catching a bomb. I think that's only the 2nd time all season that he's done that, and I'm blown away why 6 and 7 haven't given him more kicks in the air so he can do stuff like that. Just brilliant. But let me say, that's where his strength finishes. I think he's very ordinary in defence. He doesn't read defence well. He's hopeless with a grubber. I think if the Manly 6 and 7 can grub it to him, I think they could have a bit of luck there between him and Jennings. I think they'll fumble grubbers. Certainly shouldn't be kicking in the air on either side. Both Tupou and Tuvusashek and also Mini are great in the air. So I don't think they'll get much joy from kicking in the air. Grubbers is certainly going to be the way to go. The Roosters have got a decided advantage in goal kicking. They've got a great goal kicker. Kicks 87% this year. Manly's is only 69%. That's a massive advantage. And if it's going to be close and it's going to come down to goal kicking, you'd have to think that the Roosters have got a big edge there, and they'll be getting home if it's going to be just on that. I made a mistake last year of plumping for the Canterbury Bulldogs in the grand final. Broke a golden rule of mine that I'm a massive fan of a spine and particularly organisational skills. And there's none better than Cooper Cronk. Well, a guy who I rate even better than Cooper Cronk as a halfback is Daly Cherry Evans. And look, I think he's almost gone past the Cowboys captain and 5'8" Thurston. Thurston I've rated as the #1 rugby league player since 2005, since Andrew Johns has retired, and I think Daly Cherry Evans is equal with him now, and maybe even gone past him. I think he certainly will be our #1 player in years to come, and if he's not the halfback for Australia in the World Cup, well, they're kidding themselves. I don't think there's a better player in the competition. Now, with his organisational skills and the way he chimes in with Kieran, Foran and Brett Stewart, the Manly have got a decided advantage in the spine. We're talking about Brett Stewart against Minicillo. I think Minicillo's been way past his best for a long, long while, and he's still turning up because he's a wonderful contributor to the team with his experience and the way he talks to the players. But in terms of making line breaks and looking dangerous with the ball, he's not in the same class as Brett Stewart. So the Seagulls have got a big advantage there. And you're talking about James Maloney and Mitchell Pearce against Kieran, Foran and Daly Cherry Evans. I don't think there's any doubt that Manly have got an edge there. The 2 hookers, Jake Friend and Matt Ballin, probably cancel each other out. Both fantastic guys with work rate, and both very valuable to their team. But Manly have got a decided advantage in the 1, 6 and 7 area as far as I'm concerned. The big advantage that the Roosters have got, and they have every week, is with Sonny Bill Williams. I've been saying for many years now that he's the best forward I've ever seen play the game, and I've got no reason to change my opinion of that. I'm not surprised to see how well he's adapted to rugby league this year after coming back from boxing and coming back from rugby union. Just superhuman what he's done. He is a distinctive competence for the Roosters beyond any doubt. Having said that, I think Glenn Stewart is in career best form, and he'd be one of the first forwards picked in the Australian team if I was doing the selection. You know, while he's not Sonny Bill Williams, nobody is Sonny Bill Williams. He's an incredible player, Glenn Stewart, when he's at his best. And it's taking him a while to come to his best because of his off-season injuries and his operation, but he's cherry ripe now for the grand final, and his combination on that side with his brother, as I said, and with Daly Cherry Evans and with Jamie Lyon is the best in the NRL. And as a matter of fact, it's the best I've ever seen at club level, and that's clearly going to be an edge. And they'll attack that side. They'll attack Morgan Jennings and Dan Tupou, as I would expect that they would. And that's clearly where I think that they can win the game. I think it'll be a little bit different. I think as opposed to Manly should have to do the grubber kicks, I think the Roosters' best chance is to kick high. And I think if they kick high and they can get Roger on the right-hand side and Dan Tupou on the left-hand side jumping high and taking those bombs, I think that'll be a big edge that they could have. Mitchell Pearce and James Maloney aren't the world's best accurate tactical kickers, so that is going. They don't seem to have the time that the good tactical kickers have, but you know they do kick a ball okay, and if they can kick them up and get them in the right spot, they certainly have got the tall guys with the very high leap to take advantage of it. As opposed to Manly, I think they should be going along the ground. But the fast passing out wide is where I think Manly should go. And look, we've talked a lot about the right-hand side, but it's hard to not talk about Steve Matai and also George Taufua. No guy makes more line breaks than George Taufua, and we haven't talked about him much, and he's on that other side. So Manly are very strong on both sides of the ruck. Providing they can hold them in the middle, and I don't see why they can't. I like the fact that David Gower has come in. I think he's a better player than Fayoso, who's gone out injured, and that's fine. Jamie Buhrer, Tom Symonds, George Rose, that's not a bad bench. As opposed to the Roosters, they've got Dan Mortimer, as we've talked about. Mitch Orbison definitely will come on. I don't think Isaac Lill and Dylan Napa, I should say, I don't think they'll come on and play, even though they've been named. I'll be very surprised if the coach doesn't play Luke O'Donnell and Boyd Cordner. They're both hard heads, and they're both coaches' favourites, and they're both the type of players that you want in a grand final. He hasn't named them. If they can stand up at training and walk okay, I think they'll be straight into the side and play. What I'm very sure about in this game is that there's not a lot between these two teams. I don't think the betting should be this far apart as they are. I'm going to have a look at the betting, and I'm going to have a look at my final mail from training on Thursday from both camps, and we'll decide what our final staking plan will be. But one thing for sure, there's certainly an argument for both teams to win this, and there's no doubt that it's going to be a monumentally wonderful grand final. I can't wait. I hope you have a great day. Hope the barbie goes good for you. For members, I will say that we have a special. There's two grand finals on beforehand. There's the Holland Cup Grand Final and there's the New South Wales Cup Grand Final. And Peter O'Sullivan, widely regarded as the best judge in rugby league for talent and recruitment. And he's been headhunted by the Roosters to come on board from the Melbourne Storm. And this is the second grand final now in 5 years that he's taken them to. And he has a special insight into the Holland Cup and the New South Wales Cup. And he's going to give us his opinion on the two teams in both grand finals and who he likes and who he thinks will be winning and what margin he thinks they'll be winning by. And I think if you get that information, you line it up with the prices on offer, I think there's a little bit of a profit to be made there. So very good of Peter to do that. Not very often does he make himself available, but he's been a mate of mine for a long while, and there's nobody who I regard higher in the industry. So that's a little special for members. Also, 2 professional punters who I have a high regard for will be giving their 2 bobs worth on Friday for members, and I will be repeating it on Saturday as well. So those 2 guys, you might remember, gave us their opinion in State of Origin 3, where they said they think New South Wales will cover the line, and they did. And these guys do this for a living, and they're very good at what they do, and I think you'll like to hear and read what they've got to say. So that's coming up all this week for you, for members, so I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy the big game, and look forward to talking to you soon. We have a World Cup coming up after the grand final, 28 games, can't wait. We have a bit of a scoop in the World Cup. By that I mean a good player who won't be playing in the World Cup and will make a big difference to the betting, and so we'll do that after the grand final. So look forward to talking to you then. Enjoy the day. Cheers.